Good morning, everyone. Welcome once again. It's good and it's a pleasure to have you here today with us for this workshop or roundtable discussion, as my colleagues have announced, on ethical communication on sexual violence in armed conflict. We're really happy to see you here. As my colleague has mentioned, today is the International Day of issues surrounding sexual violence in armed conflict, which is a yearly observation, which our colleagues will expand much more in the course of the workshop and the exchanges. Regrettably, sexual violence is and remains a serious human and humanitarian concern in South Sudan, including in situations linked to armed conflict and violence. Sexual violence has devastating consequences for individuals, for families, and communities. It is often hidden due to fear of reprisal, stigma, and concerns about safety and lack of access to services. Again, these are topics that my colleagues will be expanding much more in the course of your discussions. The International Committee of the Red Cross, or short ICRC, in South Sudan works to prevent, to mitigate, and to respond to sexual violence occurring in armed conflict and other situations of violence. And it does so through a multidisciplinary approach, so from different angles, seeking to improve safe access to healthcare and other essential services for the victims and survivors of sexual violence, seeking to reduce the risks within communities and to prevent sexual violence from occurring through dialogue and engagement with weapon bearers. The media, which means all of you, play a crucial role in shaping public perceptions and influencing how duty bearers and communities understand and address occurrences of sexual violence. As such, journalists, media professionals really are important partners in promoting accurate, responsible, and survivor-centered narratives. And again, this is something that there will be a lot that you will be hearing in the course of today, because there's some important considerations to keep in mind when reporting on such situations. Because the way sexual violence is communicated publicly can really have a profound impact on victims and survivors. So the main objective of today's discussions is to reflect together on the challenges and opportunities of reporting on sexual violence in relation to armed conflict and situations of violence in South Sudan, and to exchange experiences, good practices, concerns, ideas. So we really hope that you will make the most of these exchanges, that you will really actively participate to make this an enriching experience and constructive discussion. So thank you very much for being here, and we really hope you have a good discussion and a good workshop. Shukran. Thank you.
Sexual violence has consequences, right? So we raise awareness about the consequences, about available services, where they can access available services. We map services, who is providing where, what, and where exactly, and this is also part of our dissemination with the community. We know that the stigma is one of the biggest issues in South Sudan. We also work on reducing the stigma and tackling stigma with the community, how they can, as a community, support victims, survivors of sexual violence, to reduce the stigma and increase their access to services. And then we have the response part of it within our area of focus, and this is the documentation. We sit with communities during conflict to understand what happened, where, who is the alleged perpetrators, what is the intentions. All those information we collect, and then we raise it in a confidential and bilateral dialogue with the alleged perpetrators, so that they stop these violations and that the community will be protected. So this is it. And when it comes to the response, also sometimes when we meet survivors or victims of survivors of sexual violence, we support them with cash. If there is no health facility close by, that this cash will also facilitate their transportation to go and get medical care, or maybe they have issues of safety, that the perpetrator is also threatening them. We will also advocate with other organizations to either bring them to safe houses until they also feel safety or something. So this is also one of the areas that we focus on. So Form 8 is one of the challenges we still we see, even after this new order has been issued. We still go to, it has not trickled to the villages, to the counties, to the Payam. Huh? Let's just be realistic about it. Huh? And we ensure that every training that we are conducting with communities, we print copies of these new orders and we give to the community that this has been issued. In case they ask you, you can show them the order, etc. And this is also training that we meet with other health providers, for example, and to ensure that they also are informed and also they have these copies. We also talk about the needs of survivors when it comes to mental health and psychosocial support, who's offering mental health, who's offering justice, you know. So we talk about the needs of survivors, and then influence duty bearers and communities. We talked about the accountabilities. We wanted also to engage. We talk about influencing duty bearers, like to remind them about their obligations, that they have to have a positive behavior change, and preventing sexual violence. This is also one of the ways that, and with communities also, we need to influence their behavior. If it is done by the community, they need to influence their behavior. If they are the community who is doing stigma for the victim, when we talk about it also, we are changing behavior of the communities publicly to start supporting victims or survivors of sexual violence. Bring a humanitarian lens. We bring the aspect of it that it is a devastating humanitarian concern and the part of humanity as a human being that we are supporting victims or survivors of sexual violence. We also share specific expertise to raise awareness. We already all talked about it, that we share other expertise. So this is the main reason for us why we do communicate about sexual violence publicly. I think maybe the community knows. Maybe it's like this, and you start maybe on having complications because you didn't go to the hospital to seek medical care. This is the fear of stigma before even community know. Now, the community know, example. You went to the health facility, now your family is rejecting you. There is a rejection, forced isolation, or maybe you are a woman, your husband now knew that you have been raped, start divorcing you, or maybe you as a man have been raped. Eh? When we talk about rape, can be both sides. Eh? You as a man, you have been raped, your wife knew, then say, it has to be a marriage. So you also cause family separation, mistreatment and denial of opportunities. We also see sometimes that survivors or victim survivors deliberately are removed from accessing services. Sometimes there is certain laws that also reinforce stigma, like the mandatory reporting we talked about it. That also can stigmatize survivor. I don't want to report to the police, they force me to report. If I don't report, I don't get medical access. So this is also certain rules and laws can also put stigma for the survivor.